All right, everybody, welcome to the Ben McCoy Show. This is Quick Hits. Lots going on right now. Still in the middle of the Russia-Ukraine war, and things are changing every minute. I want to bring you the latest intel and information that we've got over here, because there's certainly some important things to discuss, especially in the wake of Joe Biden's first State of the Union address last night. And what he said, and more importantly, what he didn't say. It was just a total display of absolute weakness. Very canned speech, nothing motivating. Certain parts of the Democrat base, I guess, were probably happy with some of that. But even for a Democrat president, it was a very, very unmotivated and weak speech with nothing at all really special or that stood out in it. It was just terrible. This Joe Biden is he's not a leader. He makes a very good politician, which is not a good thing. He made his living out of being a great politician. And I guess he was good as a senator, because senators just have to smile real pretty and pretend they're doing something, and nobody really pays attention when they're not. But the president is a different story. And boy, we are finding out that, we've really got a dud in the White House right now. And what we want to talk about specifically is these continuing our discussion on the sanctions that are being levied against Russia. Again, more sanctions, more banking and finance and regulatory sanctions that aren't really doing anything to Putin. Nothing is putting a dent in Putin whatsoever. And that's because we're not willing to actually levy some serious sanctions that would put the screws into Putin. And that, of course, is to hit the Russian energy sector. We're seeing private companies in America no longer waiting for the administration's lead, but taking their own actions in cutting ties with Russia. Private companies like Ford and Apple and a bunch of other companies that are choosing on their own not to do any more business or imports into Russia and not serve the Russian economy. And they're doing this on their own, and they should be praised for that, because this is the sort of actions that it's going to take. Because what would be the best scenarios for the Russian people and the oligarchs and everybody else there to actually, from the inside out, overthrow Putin, put in a new government, and go from there. That would be the best outcome right now, because we don't want any more bloodshed. We don't want World War III. We don't want to go to war with Russia, and we want the violence in Ukraine to stop. So that would be the best course of action. Currently, right now, the U.S. is still, at this very moment, importing around 650,000 barrels of Russian oil a day into our economy. When we fill up our cars, that is Russian oil in part, not totally, but 650,000 barrels a day is quite a bit of Russian oil. And that's just here in America. Europe is a whole nother story. Most of Europe's energy comes from Russia. In places like Finland and the Baltic states, just about all of it does. And so they've got their own problems over there they need to deal with. They need to be able to, or be willing to take some heat and really shut off that supply and hurt Putin in that way. But over here, we need to do the same thing. And again, Biden is not taking the lead, and we've always been the world's leader. We've always been the one to step up, take the lead, and other countries fall behind us. And it is just embarrassing to see Europe actually taking the lead on a lot of this stuff, and Biden kind of, watching what they're doing and falling in line behind, and so trying to lead from behind. But the 650,000 barrels a day, that needs to shut off. We need to stop that immediately, and it would cause gas prices to continue to rise for us as American consumers. And that is because our illustrious president has ended the Trump policy of energy independence. Trump really pushed that as a national security issue. And now we're seeing exactly why it is a national security issue to be energy independent. This is why. because then you have some real leverage on the international stage. And we don't have that leverage now. We are too dependent. We're just dependent. We're dependent on Russian oil and foreign oil. Tomorrow China could invade Taiwan, and that's going to completely screw everything up even more. So that is where we are right now. And companies are trying. They're trying to continue to explore and drill for American oil and energy supply, natural gas. We have so much natural gas here. We could be supplying Europe. We have more natural gas than we need. We could be a net exporter of natural gas. Europe uses a ton of natural gas, and that's the primary import from Russia that they get is natural gas. And America has enough. We have enough right here under our feet to supply Europe's needs and make a ton of money in the process and strangle Russia because they wouldn't need Russian natural gas anymore. Why aren't we doing this? It makes no sense. But I can tell you why. It's because of the green energy, the Green New Deal, the climate crowd, and all of that. And we're starting to see that every day, how much of an impact that has on our national security and on our everyday policy here in America. And it is absolutely insane that our president is catering to the lowest leftist denominator, the green energy crowd, and willing to suffer any price to get it. And we don't even have a viable green energy solution right now. It's not like we're just ignoring this great green energy, renewable energy source, and we're just turning our backs on it and saying, nah, we like our dirty coal and oil. No, it doesn't exist. And I think most of us would say, if it exists and we can power our cars and, our economy will function pretty much in the way it does now, I think we're all willing to look at that, but we are nowhere even near that point right now. So I want to read this article. There's a website called oilprice.com. It's a really good website to follow the oil market and the international energy market. And they write articles analyzing everything. And they've issued an article in the last couple of days called "The True Cost of the Green Energy Boom is Now Being Realized." This is oilprice.com. I'm just going to read some of this article, and you can go check it out for yourself. The green narrative centers around climate change as the root cause of more severe weather, but the other factor relates to the unreliability of green energy, and power companies have failed to make the investments in backup energy sources needed to support wind and solar. Green energy goes down far more often than either nuclear or coal plants. From an alternative investment standpoint, the lack of energy independence, the lack of sunshine or wind at times will help spur other energy spinoff companies such as generator companies. Another spinoff will include diesel vehicles produced with mobile generators to charge cars after they run out of charges on highways. I've never even thought of that. But if you picture an American economy full of electric vehicles traveling from work every day and coast to coast on family vacations and what have you, cars break down. There's going to be cars that run out of their electric charge in the middle of the Mojave Desert, and what happens then? Well, you're going to have vehicles with a sustainable and reliable energy source, such as a diesel truck that is loaded with some sort of generator on board to go rescue vehicles like that, just like we have today. If you get a flat tire, dead battery, whatever, AAA comes and helps you out. Well, you got to have that version of that in the electric vehicle world to come give you an emergency charge on the side of the highway. So that's something that never even occurred to me that we would have to have. Continue with the article. Energy independence equals negotiation leverage. Does energy independence create autonomy? Germany and the rest of Europe may have the opportunity to discover that answer now. Energy, of course, drives the overall economy, literally fuels productivity. In supplier negotiations, the easiest way to control the process involves gaining leverage. And thus, the easiest way a country can gain leverage involves the control of its energy. We now see this throughout Europe, and to a lesser extent, the United States right now. The U.S. placed sanctions on Russia, but failed to address the oil they sell us. In this respect, the U.S. has lost negotiation leverage. By ceding our own energy autonomy, the U.S. becomes beholden to despots like Putin. Moreover, Russia can choose both to cripple the U.S. as well as the timing. Oil prices have no immediate cap. Prior to the invasion, rising demand already provided price support. By shutting down American production, the U.S. gave up its control over the oil price. As a net exporter of oil, the U.S. also supplied the world market. Thus, the U.S. had a role with both supply and demand. Second, anytime oil prices surged, the U.S. could enter the market with more supply and thus help control prices. Moreover, as the only non-OPEC producer, the U.S. had some control over global oil prices. Folks, all of this is a reason for us to drill, and be energy independent once again. That is the way we end this whole thing in Ukraine right now. You see everybody online with the little Ukrainian flags on their social media profiles. I stand with Ukraine. Well, how much do you stand with Ukraine? Because this is the answer, folks. This is the answer to get our economy booming again, to get Russia out of Ukraine and strangle Putin's source for his war machine. I mean, where do you think all this money is coming from to power this machine of war and destruction? It's from oil. It's not from the banking regulations and from iPads being sold in Russia and Starbucks and whatever. It is from his oil and natural gas supply that he sells the world. That is where it's coming from. And that is how we stop him. Back to the article. Perhaps part of the strategy involves driving up oil prices to help hasten the switch to green energy and technologies, and in time, perhaps that transition will occur. In the meantime, most of those technologies do not generate a strong return on investment, either for the consumer or for businesses. So what we're seeing is maybe this is all part of the plan. Maybe somewhere in the twisted leftist mindset, collective mindset, driving up oil prices and destroying the economy is just gonna make Americans run towards green energy that doesn't even exist and it isn't even available. You can't even wrap your head around the logic or lack thereof. And the one more little thing I want to read. This was somebody did a little comment. They have a comment section on oilprice.com, but this is an insider in the energy industry, and he kind of wrote his own thoughts. I just want to share some of this with you. LA County banned large wind turbines, and San Bernardino County, Humboldt County, and Santa Barbara County rejected new wind turbines in their communities. So as California, the big kahuna of renewable energy, between 2013 and 2019, California added less than 200 megawatts of new wind energy capacity. California, as we know, will do anything to get to their goal of 30% lower emissions this year, so it's not much of a challenge to find some of the projects they have promoted in order to reach that standard. In Ivanpah, California, 350,000 garage-sized heliostats, which are mirrors, with three 459-foot boiling towers costing $2.2 billion backed by the U.S. taxpayers. The facility has had more problems than Biden's thought process, and the beams from the sun blind pilots going into LAX airport, scorch birds out of the sky, covers 4,000 feet of land in the Mojave Desert, which was protected for windburrow and the desert tortoise, and its capacity for all of that cost and the environmental issues it generates 342 megawatts of power, which is about 140,000 homes. So there you go. There's the green energy in practice where it is right now. Now, it could improve in time. Maybe we can make it more cost effective and more, create more with less, but it's not there, folks. We aren't there. So for the left's plan of tanking the oil market in America and not drilling for more oil, and it's not going to work. It's not going to drive Americans to green energy because it's not there. And we are practical people. We just want something that works. We want to put it in the gas tank and drive to work and have it work and not have to pay a ton for it. And we're not there, but that's the plan. That's what they're doing. That we've got it figured out. It's all about green energy and climate change and all this stuff. They think that all of this is going to drive us towards it, and it's not. It's not going to work. Just wanted to bring all that to your attention, folks. We've already exceeded our 10-minute goal, and glad to have you with us. And check us out on Twitter at Ben McCoy Show. Hope to see you there, and hope to see you next time here on the Ben McCoy Show. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.